A shiny silver Cadillac Escalade, nose first in the muck of my farm's irrigation pond, tires spinning like a hamster on a wheel, sinking deeper while its owner, Linda Harper, stands on the bank, screaming like she's auditioning for a horror flick. I'm perched in my old John Deere excavator, coffee thermos in hand, watching her million-dollar meltdown unfold like a reality show I didn't sign up for. You're probably wondering how a quiet guy like me, a third-generation farmer, ended up turning an SUV into a pond ornament well. Let me tell you, it's a hell of a story, one that starts with a nosy HOA, a woman who thought she owned the world, and a line in the dirt I wasn't about to let anyone cross. I grew up on this land 100 acres, we call it, though it's just 200 acres of hayfields, cattle, and a few stubborn chickens about 50 miles outside Nashville. My granddad plowed these fields, my dad fixed the fences, and now it's me, waking up to roosters and the smell of fresh-cut grass, living the kind of life where the only boss is the weather. No traffic jams, no cubicles, just open sky and the hum of a tractor. It's not fancy, but it's mine, and for years that was enough. Then came Pineview Heights, a shiny new subdivision that sprouted up like weeds a mile down the road. They bulldozed a cornfield, slapped down cul-de-sacs, and called it a premier lifestyle community, complete with a gate that looked more decorative than functional. With the houses came the HOA folks who loved their clipboards, their bylaws, and their power trips more than anything else. I figured, live and let live, right? They could fuss over their mailbox colors, and I'd keep baling hay. That was before Linda. Linda Harper wasn't just the HOA president, she was its self-appointed dictator, strutting around in designer athleisure like she was running a Fortune 500 company, not a neighborhood of cookie-cutter houses. I met her at the county farmers market, where I was selling eggs and honey for my hives. She sauntered up, gave my table a once-over, and wrinkled her nose like she'd smelled a dead skunk. "This is charming," she said, like she was doing me a favor by stopping by. "But don't you think it could use a little polish? Our residents expect a certain vibe." I almost laughed. "Vibe? Lady, these are eggs, not artisanal cupcakes." I kept it polite, said folks around here like things real, but she just smirked, told me I should visit Pineview to see how it's done, her eyes flicking to the mud on my boots like it was a crime scene. That was my first taste of Linda's brand of arrogance, and let me tell you, it wasn't the last. It started small flyers in my mailbox about Pineview's beautification initiative, suggesting my barn's peeling paint was dragging down their property values. Then came a handwritten note from Linda herself. "Your land is the gateway to our community. Let's work together to elevate the aesthetic." Elevate? My barn's been standing since Eisenhower was president, and it's outlasted every trend she could dream up. I ignored it, tossed the notes in the burn pile, but Linda wasn't one to take a hint. Soon, her HOA minions were creeping along my fence line, snapping photos of my cows, scribbling on their clipboards like they were health inspectors. One guy, in a polo shirt with Pineview's logo, told me they were assessing potential nuisances. "Nuisances? Those are cows," I said. "They moo. That's their job." He just shrugged, like my life was a zoning violation. Then Linda upped the ante. One morning, I found her Escalade parked on my gravel access, row the one I used to haul hay and move equipment. No warning, no asking, just her car sitting there like it owned the place. I tapped on her window, said, "Morning, Linda. You know this is my land, right?" She barely looked up from her phone, said, "It's just temporary parking. Our streets have restrictions, and this road's going to waste." Going to waste? That's my lifeline, lady. I told her move it, but she waved me off, said, "It's rural access, technically shared. Check the county code." I laughed. County code? She was making it up as she went, like a kid inventing rules in a game of tag. I gave her a warning. "Move it, or I'll move it for you." She rolled her eyes, said, Try it, and you'll hear from my lawyer. That SUV stayed there 3 days, mocking me every time I drove by. It wasn't just the car. Linda started treating my land like her personal playground. One Saturday, I woke up to a circus by my pond white tents, tables with linen cloths, and a spread of quiche and mimosas like they were filming a lifestyle vlog. Linda, in a floppy hat, was holding court, announcing, "Welcome to Pineview's farm-to-table brunch. Isn't this setting just perfect?" Perfect? She hadn't asked, hadn't even sent a text. I stormed down, said, "Linda, this is my land. Pack it up." She didn't blink, just sipped her wine and said, "We're celebrating your rustic charm, honoring your heritage." Meanwhile, her yoga buddies were doing sun salutations in my hayfield, and one of my roosters was pecking at some lady's ponytail. I pointed at the chaos. "Heritage? My chickens are terrorizing your Pilates class." She laughed, said, "That's just authenticity." "Authenticity, my ass." Then she dropped the bomb. Leaning in, voice low like she was sharing a secret, she said, "Change is coming, whether you like it or not. If you don't play ball, the city might rezone this land. You'll be surrounded by Pineview before you know it." That was a threat, the real game. She wasn't just throwing brunches. She was trying to swallow my farm, piece by piece, for her HOA empire. I looked at her, then at her SUV, still parked like a trophy on my road, and something snapped. "You want to play dirty?" I said. "Keep that car there. You'll see dirty." She laughed, thought I was bluffing. "What are you going to do, farmer? Throw hay at it?" "Oh, Linda, you had no idea." That night, sitting on my porch with a beer, staring at her car glinting under the stars, I hatched a plan. My pond's no ordinary pond, it's a reservoir, dug deep for dry seasons, with banks that look solid but turn to quicksand if you don't know where to step. I knew every inch of that ground. Linda didn't. So, I fired up my excavator, its engine growling like an old friend waking up. Under cover of darkness, I loosened the soil where she liked to park, churned it just enough to make it soft, treacherous, but still look like firm ground. By dawn, it was Riyadh trap, so subtle you'd never suspect it. I wasn't cruel, made sure no animals were nearby, calculated every angle. This wasn't about destruction, it was about justice. The next morning, Linda showed up with her HOA Posse 3 SUVs, a golf cart with security stenciled on it, and a half-dozen clipboard warriors. She had a megaphone shouting, "Attention, farmer! Your land's a blight on our community. Your pond's a hazard. Your barn's an eyesore. Pineview claims oversight." I leaned against my tractor, sipping coffee, and said, "You drew a circle on a Google map, Linda. That's not a deed." The crowd snickered, but she kept going, slapping violation notices on my barn, my fence, even my cow's feed trough. I ripped them off, said, "This is trespassing." She smirked, "It's community enforcement." That's when I climbed into the excavator. Linda parked her Escalade by the pond, same spot as always, crowing about future event space to her followers. I started the engine, the rumble cutting through her speech like thunder. She scoffed, "What, you think that toy scares me?" I grinned, leaned out of the cab. Not scaring Linda, helping. I lowered the bucket, nudged the dirt behind her car slow, deliberate, like herding a stubborn cow. The ground gave way, soft as pudding, and her SUV sank an inch, then two. Her eyes widened. "What the hell?" she yelled, scrambling to the driver's seat. She gunned the engine, tires spinning, mud flying, but the pond had her now. The crowd gasped. One guy dropped his clipboard into the muck. I gave one last push, gentle as a nudge, and that Escalade slid nose first into the water, headlights glowing under the surface like a drowning fish. The crowd lost it, farmers laughing, kids on dirt bikes whooping, even my cows mooing like they were in on it. Linda was a mess, screaming, "My car! You'll pay for this!" I sipped my coffee, said, "Looks like you parked in the VIP spot, Linda. Retrieval's on you." She called the sheriff, her insurance, even threatened the National Guard, but the deputies just shrugged. "Ma'am, you parked on his land. That's trespassing, not sabotage." Her insurance? Denied the claim. Turns out, rural access isn't in their policy. I handed the sheriff my deed, laminated and ready, and pointed out the conservation trust my dad set up years ago. That pond? Federally protected wetlands. Linda's little stunt could have cost her HOA 6 figures in fines. By noon, the video was online. HOA Queen's SUV sunk by Farmer's Pond, racking up views faster than a tractor in high gear. Memes flooded the internet. Linda's face on a sinking Titanic, captions like "community standards meet mud." Pine View's HOA issued a weak apology, distancing themselves from her, but the damage was done. Linda disappeared. Some say she moved to her cousins in Kentucky, still chasing lawyers who wouldn't touch her case. Her SUV? Towed out, stripped for parts, its bumper now a trophy at the local bar. My pond became a legend, a selfie spot for anyone passing through. Sitting on my porch that evening, watching the sun dip low, I raised a glass to the pond, its ripples catching the light. This wasn't just about a car or some HOA tyrant. It was about lines my family drew in this dirt long before I was born, lines that say this is mine, this is home. Linda thought she could erase them with clipboards and threats, but she forgot. The land doesn't bend to arrogance. It fights back, quiet and patient, until the moment's right. I didn't sink her car for revenge. I did it because enough was enough, because some boundaries are worth more than a lawsuit or a smile. So what about you? Ever had a neighbor, an HOA, or some know-it-all try to push past your line in the sand? Drop your story in the comments. I want to hear how you held your ground, or if you think I went too far. Was I right to let the pond teach Linda a lesson, or should I play nice? Hit that subscribe button if you're ready for more tales from the dirt, and let's keep this conversation going. Here's to boundaries. Folks, may they always hold.